glad to be here, but this was a long drive. My back is killing me, and I hope more dispensaries open closer to where we all live, because this is a bitch. I had to stop. It's like $30 in gas round trip, tolls. On the other hand, we have a dispensary that's open, and hopefully it's going to stay open.
I thought it was open. Yeah, that's open.
But they're booked through December. So I'm like, I can't buy 2 ounces today. And they're like, well, we take credit cards. I said,
Oh, they said that.
I get $741 a month. I'm borrowing, and stealing to get here. I'm like, obviously, I've had several months to save up, but what am I supposed to do for November and December?
Exactly.
How am I? Explain that to me. I can't.
A month, but if you can't buy the 2 ounces, then what do you
Exactly. And their excuse is that I didn't realize it came up. Their excuse is that there's so many patients that they have to get in that, quote unquote, in order to be fair to all patients, they can't let people come for refills. I said, but you can't cut people off from their medication. If I start medicating again and then I stop, my pressure's going to spike. What am I supposed to do then? Well, we're really sorry. Hopefully Woodbridge will be open, and that'll take some of the strain off of us. And then I said, well, can I make my follow-up appointment now? No, you have to call.
So you're in there, in the office.
You're in there. Because the person that makes the appointments is in Florida. So she's the person that calls to make your original appointment and to follow up. And so she's in Florida. So you have to call Florida to make your appointment to come back here. And so we're looking at January before we can even get a refill.
So you're going to have to make an ounce less until January.
And I got an ounce and a half. So we're not going to eat the rest of the week. But I'll be medicating. The cupcake will be medicating. So you get these little bags, receipts, and they charge everybody tax because they claim that because Greenleaf charged $5.60, they're discounting to $400 an ounce. So they figured that that's helping everybody. And I said, even Medicaid patients have to pay tax. She said, yes, because you're already getting a discount. I said, but the discount's across the board. You're not helping. I said, what about the thing on your website that says you're going to help indigent patients? I said, I'm an indigent patient. Well, we just decided that we're only going to charge $400. So you get this nifty little box.
And what strains did you purchase?
I purchased an ounce of the CBD strain, which comes in these little jars. And then I got a 1/4 ounce of the pineapple chunk. I don't know, they have pre-rolls, but I said no thank you. That's pineapple chunk. This is a red cherry berry. And we asked, me and the guy that just came out after me, he's furious. I thought, I'm glad I calmed down. He's just livid about the whole thing, that the jars, he said, same thing. I said, do you have to-go labels? Do you have smaller containers? No, because the Department of Health says it has to have all your information on it. And he said his brother's a law enforcement officer, and he said that what they're being told is to make sure that it's in the original container. And he said, what am I supposed to do with this? What am I supposed to do with this?
I can't put that up my butt either.
Even in my purse, this is a big ass jar to carry around.
Bigger bag, I guess.
So,
and guys, you're out of luck.
And Governor Christie doesn't really care. But I have spinal stenosis. I have degenerated herniated discs in my neck. I can't lift that much. My purse needs to be as light as possible. I don't need jars. I mean, at least Greenleaf had bags. But, I like the jars. I like the jars for storage.
I'm gonna put jelly in.
Yeah, but not to take around the state with you.
Right.
Jeez.
I know you are one of the lucky ones who was able to get a small amount of medicine at Greenleaf before they started having their problems. How much was that you were allowed to get?
2 ounces.
And how long ago was that?
Last time I got serviced by Greenleaf was April 6th, because after that...
April 6th?
After that, they only had sativa.
How long have you not had New Jersey regulated marijuana. How long have you been without before today?
Since April 6th.
So let me ask you, how is it known that they're not going to be closed next week?
It's not. They're they say that they are booked through December, and that's one of the big issues is that we can't schedule our follow-up appointment. So at Greenleaf, once you were in, and you could call and you could make your appointment in 2 weeks if you needed to come in 2 weeks, because some of us don't have
So what's the
$800.
procedure? What's the procedure without being able to reschedule an appointment?
What I was told today is they're booked through December, which means that I'm looking at a January appointment for my next 2 ounces. So the ounce and a half, which was pushing it financially for me today, has to last me until January.
Did you know that before you came here?
No, I did not.
So you only were able to get an ounce and a half today?
Yes, I could have gotten 2 ounces if I had the money.
If you had the money, but you didn't have
I
the
didn't
money
have-
because you didn't know that it was going to be an issue.
I didn't have the money.
You didn't know
I'm on
you couldn't
SSI,
re-up.
and I've been on disability for 20 years.
So basically, as nice as this is right now, in effect, it's no better than Greenleaf.
It's almost worse because if I start medicating again and my pressure goes down and then I stop and it spikes, that's when damage occurs in glaucoma. And that's why I had 2 eye surgeries this summer, is because access was abruptly cut off and my intraocular pressure spiked. I had a hemorrhage on the optic nerve and boom, I was in for surgery.
I'd heard they were going to be able to handle up to 600 patients right away. That doesn't seem like that's the case.
They consider it, because they're getting people in for the first time, that they are handling them. But what they haven't considered is that people need to continue to medicate, and they're not going to let people come get their refills. I would have preferred to come today, get an ounce, and come back in a couple weeks when I had another $400 and get another ounce and do what I did at Greenleaf. I went every 2 to 3 weeks when I needed to, and if I had a little bit of extra money or time, I went up there. Obviously, for the hour, it was an hour and a half to Greenleaf, but you could speed that up because it was the turnpike to the Parkway. This is 295, which it's not that easy to fly down here, and definitely not on the Atlantic City Expressway. So I'm wasn't looking forward to having to keep coming back, but to put out that $800 in one pop, that's just not going to happen for me. So I was really disappointed, and I'm pretty upset, and I will be calling the CEO to tell him what I feel about
I'm a little upset.
that, because
I wanted
patients
to
should
see
be able to
you-
get refills.
Yeah, I wanted to see you smiling about final success here, and apparently it's more of the same, and it's hard to tell between Compassion Care Foundation and the Department of Health and Administration where the problems arise. I imagine you can't get any more answers out of them if you were to ask about the particulars and why. I would assume they're not going to be willing to even discuss that with you.
They said this was the CEO's choice, that the CEO said he wants to get as many patients in as he can right away because of, and they're blaming Greenleaf and what happened at Greenleaf, and they said that now this is a new Greenleaf story, is that there was a roof leak, and that the roof leak destroyed a whole crop. Just another Greenleaf. Tall tales of Greenleaf.
Oh, plants need water,
But-
though. How did it destroy them?
I really don't know, because they said they were sandy proof. They said they had all those bases covered. So I don't believe that story either. But
Sandy blew through and likely didn't destroy anybody's crops. That it wasn't flooded.
no, they
They're very
said they were
resilient.
safe. So unless
Nonetheless, I can see why you would be disappointed, because you really don't know when you're going to be able to get a month's worth and then get it again at the end of the month. How do
Right.
you feel about this being this kind of regulated compared to a pharmacy where you get your other medicines and where people get some pretty dangerous stuff that you don't have trouble getting your other medicines at a pharmacy, do you?
no, I see my doctor once a month. He writes a prescription for a
And you
month's
don't
worth
have
of
to wait, and
medication.
there are
I
guards at the
go,
door. Yeah.
and being on Medicaid, I don't pay for my medication either. Not that I think I deserve free medicine, but I'm hurt. I can't work, and that's a benefit that I get from when I did work.
How does this?
But being told, well, here's a little bit of medicine, and well, you can help your pain or your MS or your Crohn's or your glaucoma or your cancer. A cancer patient who comes in today for their 2 ounces could be dead in January. A hospice patient that comes in here is given 6 months to a year to live, and now we're being told that we have to wait at least another 2 months before we can come back.
Well, I got to agree, it doesn't seem like a great strategy to get as many people started that they can't continue with at the end of a month.
No, it doesn't.
That sounds almost like the way a drug dealer operates. First one's on me, and then I'll get you when I can after that.
Mm-hmm.
It seems certainly not well founded and not put into action by somebody with any understanding of what the shortcoming is going to be for people such as yourself. So I can see where that would be pretty disappointing. Let me ask you something, if I can, without you being too particular about it. When you leave here, you're likely not the only person this affects. You have family, you have people that care about you. How do they feel about this?
I haven't asked them yet.
Do they get involved with you and say, do they express their disappointment, like when you get back and you say, look, I can't get any more till January?
Yeah, because it puts me back into that position of, am I a criminal? Do I have to do quote unquote criminal activity to save my eyesight, or do I take the chance that I'm going to lose more vision or end up on the operating table? I'm between a rock and a hard place.
Was there any indication after January that it might be more on a month-to-month basis? Did they tell you that?
They don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know because we're waiting to find out if and when Woodbridge is going to open.
Yeah.
They think that when Woodbridge opens, it'll take some of the strain off of them, which it will.
Sure.
But there's a lot of ifs there. And so far we haven't seen this program be extremely successful. And so I'm excited, but I almost burst into tears when they said, no, you can't make an appointment to come get, I can't even come get the rest of my monthly allotment. Albeit it's October and next month will be November, but technically I'm allowed to get 2 ounces in November, and I'm being told now that I can't even get an appointment until January. My family, I think, will be very, very disappointed, and I'll probably be told that I should have spent the extra $200 on the other half an ounce, but I can't do that to my family. I have a dog I'm treating for chemo. We have vet bills. I'm taking care of her. Gas, it's $30 just to get up and back from here, plus tolls. And we need food. We have to pay bills. I can't tell Comcast, float me till next month because I had to go buy my medical marijuana.
That's right. It doesn't work.
Yeah. They're just not going to understand that Compassionate Care Foundation isn't going to let me back till January. So I had to spend my Comcast money down at the dispensary. It's just life doesn't work that way.
It rolls downhill, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Well, I'm sorry that it didn't work out better. I'm happy that you'll be able to control your interocular eye pressure, but I'm not happy that it'll perhaps do more damage when you quit. There needs to be something else besides being between a rock and a hard place, because you're caught within 3 things at least.
That's why we need a moratorium on arresting card-holding patients, and we need that to be passed. So we need to work on our legislators that if you have a card, that you can't get arrested.
Well, there certainly is a lot that needs to be worked on. I'd say here on the record, I'm very proud of you for speaking frankly about this, understanding you're not going to be picked out and singled out or anything like that. My hope would be that other patients are going to follow your example and realize that taking part like you do is what's going to fix this, and that there hasn't been enough people like you standing up is the reason why it's like this now. So may I say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
That's
starting.
not good enough. You know that.
But I believe there should be a moratorium on card-holding patients until we have a fully working program throughout the state for 1 year, which means that people in Fort Lee don't have to drive down to CCF, or people in Fort Lee don't have to drive to Woodbridge. And if this place closes, what happens to the people in South Jersey? We need a fully functional, operating smoothly program throughout the state, and we need more dispensaries, we need more qualifying conditions, we need to get rid of the physician registry, we need edibles for adults as well as children, because there are there are adults who, first of all, cannot swallow, but then there are adults, and I don't always mean to bring it back to me, but as a glaucoma patient who needs to medicate every 3 to 4 hours max, I can't be smoking joints all the time. It's just,
Right.
I mean, I could be, but it's a pain in the butt. Whereas if I eat a brownie or
It
I
lasts
have a
longer.
lollipop, it lasts almost all day. And 2 ounces to go home and start making oil and cooking with it is nothing. So, and now I'm being told I can't even get more until January. So, we need to get edibles for adults. We need to get different methods of ingestion
And
for
if,
patients.
I would think, after listening to what you've had to say, that we need to have a dispensary that understands these things. My disappointment is greatly centered around that you didn't know this before you got here. And they were in touch with you, they knew it,
Yes,
and they didn't tell you.
right.
And that's going to be happening every day. People aren't able to afford, what does an ounce cost?
$426.
So some people just don't have $850 to put out all at once. So they're not going to come with that, even if they could have borrowed it, like maybe people would have made arrangements with you to get it. And I'd like to hope that that's one of the first things that changes. One day there's going to be a dispensary that interacts with the patients they serve.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that they were a lot nicer than Greenleaf here. It's not as much as feeling like you're in a prison. They do talk to you. You can ask questions. I met the master grower, and I talked to Darren, who had actually come to a CMMNJ meeting once, and I got his email address. So they want patient feedback. They want to hear from the patients. But then they also, when I started pushing about the to-go containers, they didn't like that. It was, I felt like they thought I was challenging them, and I wasn't. I was just saying, how am I
Challenging
supposed
the
to
container,
how am I
not
supposed to
them.
carry this big thing with me? And I didn't even say, but what's a man supposed to do? That does not fit in your back pocket. It doesn't fit in your front pocket, and it should be discreet.
Yeah.
It absolutely should be discreet. Just like you can stick your pills in a little pill thing, which.
So basically, patient feedback is something that's going to be really necessary.
Yeah, they ask for it, but I'm not so sure if it's not positive how open they are to it. But I can put my pills in here
Right.
and carry, and I can throw empty bottles in my trunk. And if I get pulled over and questioned, I can say, well, the empty bottles were in my trunk with a label on it. But those big jars, what am I supposed to do with that? Now, the Greenleaf bags fit, I roll them up, and they fit in here.
Which would fit in somebody's pocket if they needed to.
If they needed to, yes. So, it's not all bad. It was a nice experience. They're friendly. On the other hand, and this can be on the record or off the record, Greenleaf, as soon as I told them that while my legal name is Susan Sterner, that I go by Rowan, and that everybody knows me as Rowan Capers, Greenleaf made a note, and I was Rowan. They knew who Rowan was. They could care less. When I told them on the phone, well, we have to go by your name on your card. And I said, well, I'll remind you, because I don't like to be called Susan. I want to be called Rowan. Just like if your name is James, you like to be called Jim.
Yeah.
If your name is Deborah, you want to be called Deb or Debbie.
If your name's Poindexter and you want to be called anything else.
Anything else. And so, again, I'm a patient. You're servicing me. I'm supposed to come here to feel better. It's called compassionate care. I'm telling you, my name is Rowan. And, well, thank you, Susan. So that's kind of small potatoes, but for me as a patient, when I go to a doctor,
That's a pretty good sized potato, I think. I think that they should be able to call you Rowan if you ask them to, and go by Susan when they need to. And you sign Susan and they say, thank you, Rowan.
right?
It's a lot to be worked out. A lot to be worked out. I got to agree, it is certainly better than nothing. A little progress is better than none at all if it doesn't impede for further progress. Sometimes that, unfortunately, is the case. So
Yeah.
I look forward to helping you put your concerns into action with the Coalition for Medical Marijuana as we were able to do it, because
Thank you.
you made some very valid points. And one of the first things, I guess, that we have to do as the Coalition is to try to inform other card-holding patients that they're not going to get another appointment within a month. And sorry you had to be the one to find out, but that we can warn other people.
Yeah.
We'll be doing that, and hopefully more patients will understand that it's not that hard to step forward, and that you're doing this not just for yourself. You're here talking with us to help other patients. You're able to take care of yourself. I'll vouch for that. But I would like to hope more patients would repay your kindness by paying it forward, as they say, and understand there are other patients that may need them to offer their help and advice. So I hope that should anything that was videoed here today be seen by other patients, they'll recognize it should be more of a sense of duty and compassion for the people that they understand more than they will. So let's hope that this is the beginning of not just patients getting the medicine they deserve, but being able to take part in the regulations that are keeping that from happening.
I hope so too. And I did meet an interesting young man inside who is familiar with the coalition, but doesn't really do Facebook. He said his wife does, and I told him to look us up on Facebook, and he said he'll come to the December meeting. And he was furious as well about just not having a to-go container. So
These are two things that should be on their website. I don't know that it's not. Do they have a website? Did you ever?
Yeah, they have a website,
and
they need to update it. They need to take off the thing that they're going to help indigent patients, because some of us have been. I was expecting up through last night that at least I'd get some type of discount. At Greenleaf, I didn't have to pay tax. When I said today, do I have to pay tax? They said yes, because you already are getting your discount. Well, I'm getting the same discount as everybody else is getting, and
it's not a discount.
It's not a discount. It's not that's not. So take it off your website.
Yeah,
don't say we one of our biggest one of the things we're most proud of is that we're going to have a program to help indigent patients get the medicine and apparatus they need to use their medicine, and then have us. First of all, I didn't even see any paraphernalia or apparatus in there. It wasn't discussed with me where it was at Greenleaf. Greenleaf also gave out a piece of paper that told you how to make oil, how to make a tea, different ways to use the medicine. You don't get that here. All you get is a log to fill in yourself, saying, well, I used the red cherry berry and it made me feel this way on this day, and it made me feel this way on another day, and then I used pineapple chunk and it made me feel,
Yeah. Well, I can see that having a pretty good purpose, but certainly not more of a purpose than informing patients of the realities of how they can and can't get their medicine when they know those realities and you don't. So, good day overall, though?
Yes, good day.
Good.
Progress. And, for you guys, I wouldn't be here, they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and Ken and everybody else who's worked so hard to make this a reality.
Yes, I appreciate that. Of course, I was here from Cheryl's attitude that it would not be legal in her lifetime, but she'd spend the rest of her life saying that it might be legal for other people who had more time. So I'm glad to see that you're of that same mind, and hope that a lot more patients start understanding that the coalition has not been able to meet our mission objectives because of their fears of how it might go for them if they help or are open. And I think after the things that you and others have done, they should be able to see that they can do both. And sometimes just being available for an interview, whether it was phone or fill out a questionnaire, or and I look forward to helping you make this right, because I deeply appreciate that you sit here outside there telling it how it is. So that other people get this and have a cupcake. I've been hearing a lot about these cupcakes. No, don't. Just kidding.
A bunch of gyms from the Coalition of Medical Marijuana.
All the gyms.
Chuck and Lefty. I said everybody's patients or should be, but it's a Coalition for Medical
We
Marijuana.
put every gym we could.
What would have been fun is
And a cupcake.
if you were able to say, yes, the Coalition for Medical and co-founder Jim would like to tell you You're welcome.
I wanted to ask why the center was named after Diane and not Diane and Cheryl.
Because Diane was from down this part of the
Okay.
state. She did a lot of lobbying, and because they have no idea who Cheryl is.
Oh, you don't?
Really?
Yeah, who would? You'd be surprised.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know who Cheryl was till I met you.
You'd be surprised. But they should know.
I was surprised when I saw that, but I figured that would be the answer. But I would love to see us be able to honor Cheryl.
Well, there's
Sorry.
she's
to my-
going to be represented in however coming up. I'm not sure yet. In the dispensary in Washington D.C., they fully recognize,
Oh, good.
and they sing her praises all the time, and everybody knows who she is because she went to bat for them, getting arrested in Bob Barr's office in '99. So she got arrested so people in D.C. could have this one day, you know. And they've never forgot. So oddly enough, at least the one closest to the nation's capital is going to have a little memorial section for Cheryl, and you know, a little description of how she took on Bob Barr, who stopped this from happening.
Are you going to be down there when they open?
Yeah. No, they're open. I'm going to
They
be
are
down. I'm
open?
going to be down there when they're going to dedicate a little,
Okay.
do a little something.
I didn't realize they had opened yet.
Yeah, they are. They're fully functioning. They got opened in 10 months from the time it was okay. Not 4 years, 10 months.
How am I going to put this jar up my ass?
Should you want me to
That's my concern.
you want me to just medicate?
Well, you got an inchworm by your head. Look. Wait, let me get it on film.
By my head or hers?
Your head. Hold on, it's about right on your seat.
They're really good eating.
Yeah.
Dip it in can of chocolate.
He knows
It'll
about
be
my
an
crickets.
edible.
Oh, he's so cute.
He knows about
Right
my
about
crickets.
an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just crawled off
You
my
call me an
window.
inchworm, what's what he does? He does, I am not. Yes, I am. You're an inchworm. No, I'm not. Look, I'm only.
I feel him. I'm focused in on him. I feel him now.
You feel his vibe?
I think he's getting stoned off my hair. He's just getting stoned off my hair. That's how they test. You want to blow him a hit?
Let me open the window
See
here.
if he turns into a butterfly? All right, I can open the window.
You know, it was really, I
Yeah,
wish we had filmed it when I was in California and I was with 3 patients and we're riding down the road and they weren't allowed to smoke in the car because it was a no smoking car in California rental.
Oh.
So we had to stop, and it was a very busy road, and it was a little roadside stop right by the road, and to not break any laws and sign and smoking in a car that I said I wouldn't, they all got out and smoked their joints and bowls and stuff on the highway, and I thought, isn't this different?
Yeah.
You know, people
Yeah,
pulling to
that does
hide.
sound really
They were
weird.
pulling and got out, and
Wow.
everybody was going by, and nobody was
This is a
looking.
no
It was-
smoking.
I can't wait till we can do that.
So that's pretty much that works for you. You've got your eye pressure taken care of now.
Hopefully.
I mean, no, at this moment though,
Oh, yeah.
Soon.
just like that.
Just like that.
Definitely.
Just like that.
So it's amazing. I mean, many times I hear it or see it. It just amazes me that it's that simple,
Yep.
and the only thing hard about it is the regulations.
Yeah.
It smells fresh.
Fresh and fruity.
Yeah, no,
Smells
not that
weedy to
fruity.
me. Yeah, it smells more weedy than fruity.
Kind of, yeah.
It smells weedy to me too. It doesn't smell fruity to me.
No, it's not.
Oops, there it is. No, it smells almost immature.
It smells BTN, better than nothing. It's trimmed nicely.
How is it when you squeeze it? How's it smell? Yeah. Better? No? Really? Oh shit. This is what 5% THC smells like, people. Okay, yeah, this is what 5% THC is like for the people in California. I know you don't see this very often, but this is 5%.
0.05%.
This is New Jersey's backyard boogie.
All right, that's about a quarter of a dose for one person.
Absolutely no smell.
That's
Cheap.
7 grams. That's a quarter ounce there.
That's what they said.
Wow.
I mean, no.
Oh, they
it,
did say you
it
could buy.
looked-
You know
it-
what? I should
Mount
think
looks
about
good.
buying. I should have bought an extra 8.
It's gonna burn quick too.
I didn't. I should have done that. Oh,
Okay, let's see what we have here.
got red hair sticking to the top. That smells good. It smells a little better.
What is that called?
Pineapple.
Oh, pineapple.
But she was telling me it had some diesel in it. That's not what it said
smells
online.
a little better, but you know,
Still doesn't. It's not like. Ah,
No, this isn't. No,
No, it doesn't.
no. There's no smell.
It supposedly is. It's all supposed to be crossed with skunk, and honestly, I don't smell any skunk.
I don't smell skunk at all.
You know why they call it skunk? Because it has to have smell. It's called skunk
Skunk.
because it
It's
smells
skunk
like a
number
skunk.
one is what it said.
I don't have anything on my
I don't-
fingers.
I don't smell.
Nothing.
I don't smell skunk at all. And it's not sticky. That was the same thing I heard from another patient who was here yesterday. Is that it seemed very dried out. This CBD one smells that bad.
What is that called?
That's Shark Shock.
Shark shot.
That's this. They call it here CBD one.
Honestly, it smells like it has the same smell trim has. I mean, it smells, but it doesn't really. I mean,
This is weird weed.
this is the kind of thing you would expect that if you weren't looking there, you'd know when she opened the container by the smell.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if she opened the container and you were driving and she was in the back seat, you'd smell it, whether you were supposed to or not. This, you can put it right up to your nose and. Now, that's not to say that it's.
Yeah, we don't know how
Work,
it smokes, but
Yeah.
it doesn't smell very strong.
No. But the thing is that we're getting different stories. I was told I can't get back in until that they're booked through December, and that I couldn't even make my appointment today. I have to call.
Well, one lady said that I'm probably not going to come back here. I'm going to be at
Woodbridge.
Woodbridge. So she said she'd probably not see us back here again. But then I don't even remember his name, the guy who owns or runs the place, he actually
Bill,
said,
Thomas.
yes, he said to come back at any time, just call him and they'll get Jack in.
What county did you travel from?
Warren County.
Warren, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Monmouth.
Okay.
I know Warren well.
Yeah, way
How long
up
a
there.
drive, Jim?
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
One way.
Yes.
One way.
Yeah.
I still have to go home and traffic will be worse on the way home.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
You're a trooper.
I love my son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do it for Jack.
Well, you are actually, may I say, one of the most amazing mothers I've ever met.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean that. Absolutely, I don't know how to do it.
And I
Not
told
just
him
words
in
from
the
me.
car on the way down here.
From another Jim.
Never question why I respect you.
Thank you.
3 Jims concur.
Yeah,
the
Jack
3
deserves
Jims-
it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, Jack deserves to have treatment. I mean, since he was able to start the treatment in California, where he is a resident, he is completely off of phenobarbital as of February. He is completely off of steripental as of last month. He's completely off of Onfi. Actually, Onfi was last month. Steripental is this month. He's down 40% off of his Klonopin. He's down 50% off of his valproic acid, and he's off the ketogenic diet. And he was having 10 to 20 seizures every night, and now he's having 1 to 3 every week.
So those medicines that he was being given
We're
really
causing more
weren't helping
seizures.
him.
They're not helping him. Nothing was helping him. So he's actually getting help now. He's getting relief, and this is what he needs. The 2 ounces is not nearly enough because I need to make the edibles. He can't smoke. They did offer me joints, pre-rolled joints in there, and I just kind of looked at her and laughed and said, "He's 14. he's not going to be able to use the joints." So yeah. I got Jack his meds, and with the 2 ounces, I could probably in oil make 10 days worth of medicine at his weight and his height for what he needs, and that's not nearly enough.
But it still wouldn't have the CBD content.
And it wouldn't have the CBD content, and the THC would be too high. It is going to be too high. So,
Did you ask? I asked, and they said 4 or 5 months before they have 20 to 1.
did not ask that. No. But they also expect me to be up at Woodbridge.
Yeah, well, they kind of suggested that to me too, and I said, we can switch dispensaries, we can switch our sauce. If we like the strains down here, we have a right to come down here. But I don't think that they should be. I think they should tell you when they make your appointment, come down to get your full 2 ounces because you're not going to get in for another 2 months, and not wait till we drive 2 hours to show up and be told, well, no, you can't come back for another 2 months.
I thought it was 2 ounces per month.
It should.
max.
It should be.
So they're not going to let you have your 2 ounces every single month. You're going to have to wait now until December.
I have to wait until January. They said they're booked through December.
That's insane.
So you know me. I'll be
But when
raising
we
hell.
went in there, they told you something different.
And
They
say,
wanted you
and
to
I had two eye surgeries because I got cut off from Greenleaf abruptly. You know, I know ahead of time now, but what's my choice? My choice is to go buy on the street and become a criminal, or stamp my feet and say, let me back in here. Because even if Woodbridge opens in November or December, I have a right next week to come buy another 2 ounces, technically. And if you want to stretch it to 30 days, then I have until November 28th to come buy 2 ounces. But to tell patients no, you know, especially when I said I just don't have the money. I said, I don't have $852 right now to buy 2 ounces. And she said, well, we take credit cards. Duh, I'm on SSI. My family needs to eat the rest of this week. And I didn't even get into Luna. So,
Yeah. No, I just got the 1 ounce because that's all I can afford right now. That's all I can afford. And I'll just have to figure out how to make it work for Jack. Is Greenleaf actually open?
nope.
Does nobody
No,
know?
we have no confirmation.
No,
Open or closed? Okay.
no answers.
Because the lady in there was telling me that they had
about
a
a
water leak.
roof
Yeah, a water leak, and that's what ruined their crop.
Wow.
Which makes no sense.
I don't. She
They told me
she
the
said
same thing.
she said plumbing. She didn't say roof. She said plumbing leak.
No, I was told a roof leak. That the roof leaked water, and I had said that after Sandy, people were concerned that Sandy might have done something, and they said that it's so secure that nothing could happen to touch the crop. So there's so many. I'm calling them the Greenleaf Tales now.
Oh gosh.
Tales of Greenleaf.
So
Insanity.
your reply when people say, "Oh, why are you fighting so hard for cannabis?" Because there are other medicines out there. What's your reply?
The medicines don't work, and that's the honest truth. It's been 14 years. Jack's had seizures since October 21st in 1999. Phenobarb. All these barbiturates. He's been on phenobarb for 14 years. He's been on benzodiazepines of some sort for 12 years. They aren't working. He's tried 20 different drugs in 50 different combinations. He's had brain surgery. He's had 2. He actually did a right frontal lobectomy and a 2/3 anterior corpus callosotomy. He's got the VNS. He's had 2. One's to replace the battery. It's not working. He still has seizures. And before I started him on the medical marijuana in California, he was having 10 to 20 seizures every night, every single night. And now he's having 1 to 3 a week, and that's mostly associated with the weans, with getting him off these drugs. But unprovoked seizures in the last year, for no absolute reason, no fever, no drug wean, nothing, I'd say he maybe had 5.
Wow,
And before that, he was having them 10 to 20 a night,
it's quite the improvement.
unprovoked. It is. So I fight for my son. I fight for all the children that need it, whether they're under 18 or over 18. Can't tell you how many adult children there are that actually need this medication. They do. And not all of them can smoke. Not all of them want to smoke. So they need to be able to have access to medication that works. Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah, whether it be epilepsy or Tourette syndrome or cancer or leukemia or whatever it is, they need to have access to effective medicine, not pharmaceutical PR. I'm sorry, I must have said something good.
Yeah, you did. All of it's good. It really is.
Okay.
Coming out here today.
Yeah, we really do appreciate
I
it.
read all the times that you post about the seizures he's having. I don't count them and say, well, he had 2 today or 5. I just don't count them, but I see them. And as a parent, I feel saddened by that a lot. My seizures are different than I'm sure Jack's is. I've only had 3 or 4 in my lifetime, but marijuana has helped me every time. So I can understand how it might help him on a steady basis.
Yes.
I know it works for nerve damage. It helps me every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope to come here soon, probably in the next month or so, if they open up enough patient slots available. I know you guys are having some issues about coming back, so I hope that they can see new patients.
I hope so too.
Yeah,
I'm going to be calling them soon.
They should be able to do it all though, because I don't know how you can start a patient on their medication and then say, well, now you have to skip a month or 2. I don't like it as a glaucoma patient. I don't like it for hospice patients. I don't like it for any patients. But when I think of somebody who has cancer, somebody who has seizures, somebody who's on hospice, who could be dead by January, you're telling them, if you come today, you're not going to get medicated you're not going to get your medicine anymore. I just don't think that that's right, and I don't know that, yeah, they're an independent business, but how the Department of Health is allowing them to operate that way. And then that gets into the whole question of why do people that don't seem to really know how to handle medicating patients, why did they get the contracts? Why aren't there any medical personnel, nurses, people who have been in the cannabis industry who know about medicating with marijuana? Why aren't they overseeing the operations that are going on? It does seem like a big PR thing. It seems like the CEO here decides who comes when and what they get, and it's not fair to everybody. And you can't. I'm glad at least they didn't tell you that no, you can't come back. But
Well, here's the irony of it. I've got a 14-year-old child who needs medications, and if they abruptly stop, they can call DIFUS on me. So this is a life-threatening thing. It's not like it's cancer, but if I stop giving him meds voluntarily, I can have DIFUS called on me. So that's the irony of the whole entire setup and the whole system, the way it works.
I don't know if
It's
it's
not my
benefits,
intention.
but we're going to do a test next week about. My daughter has a bearded dragon. It's 4 foot long. We feed it crickets. The crickets eat all of the lettuce, and then we feed the crickets to the bearded dragon. So essentially, the dragon's eating lettuce.
Right.
So I know that if I put 20 crickets in a little box with 1 gram of sour diesel or medical marijuana, in a minute it's gone. They'll eat the whole entire thing. Now I take those same crickets and I put them in the freezer until they stop moving. They're frozen solid. I bring them out, dip them in the chocolate magic shell, and start eating crickets. That may be a different way. We have to see if the decarboxylation of taking the medicine out of it, the cricket, does its body temperature make the THC available for when I eat it. But we're going to find out like in a week.
Interesting.
It'll be a fun test.
I'm glad you're not asking me to eat crickets.
I'll try
Well, that was the next question.
Next question, please.
It's going to be a whole new avenue.
No, that's very cool, and I know they do that in the jungle, but I'm not into crickets.
Well, these are clean crickets. They're from PetSmart. They're meant to be eaten.
Wait. You just said clean crickets and PetSmart in the same sentence?
I'm sorry. Clean crickets. They're feeder. They call them feeder crickets because you feed them to things, animals.
They have feeder goldfish too.
Doesn't say.
That's true. I wouldn't want to eat one of
Doesn't
those.
say you should feed them to humans or not. I don't know. I've eaten a feeder goldfish to be the cool guy in Catholic school. But that's what happens. You get the ping pong ball in the thing and you win the fish and you eat them. And you're the cool guy.
Okay, the worst I've done is drank a raw egg.
Oh, that's gross.
It is gross, but not as gross as a cricket and a
A lot
goldfish.
of protein in that. I'm gonna try a cricket this coming week.
Let me know.
Yeah.
Sit down by my barbecue and eat them outside.
I'm not coming to your house for dinner next week.
Watch
Don't ask me.
They're gonna be awfully crinkly and just frozen with the magic shell with a claw.
What happens if you stick them in when they're still moving? Do they just, the magic shell stops and they just stop in that position? So
No, well,
like mid-jump?
they're freeze. They die when they're frozen solid. You freeze in there living organism.
When did you become aware that this could help Jax? I mean, these are things I really don't know. It's not like it's an interview question. I
Right.
really don't know most of what I'm going to be asking.
I watched an episode of Weed Wars, I believe is what it was called. Jason David was on it with his son, Jaden. And Jason lives very close to where my family lives in California. I moved from California to New Jersey in 2006. So when it came on and I saw him having success, it was kind of a, it was an idea. I was thinking about it. Still scared of the weed because I bought into the propaganda. I brought into all the weird stuff. There's a worm on top of that.
It's an inchworm.
That's our pet worm.
Okay.
He's been here for a while.
Okay.
He's looking for him.
I know, because I'm like, oh my gosh, that seat's moving. So anyways, I did leave California. My family's back there, saw this interview, or this episode, and Jaden seemed to be doing better. At the time he was 4 or 5, seemed to be doing better. That summer I went to the Dravet convention, and that's where
Where was that?
It was in,
Bell Rock?
no. Dravet convention was in, I want to say Minnesota, but I don't remember where it was in
just
Minnesota.
curious.
It's for Dravet.
Yeah.
Very interesting because Jason David was there, met both Megan and myself. That's where I met Megan, actually, and we kind of hatched this plan to do this whole thing for the state of New Jersey and kind of, we need this for our kids. But in the back of my head, it was still like, But it's an illegal drug. But it's scary. But it's, and I always had all those buts. And there was one drug I had to try.
To
for
be
Jack.
clear, in my own head, what year would that have been?
That was
you-
2010.
10.
2010.
So you met Megan then?
Mm-hmm.
In 2010.
Yes.
That's the same year that the law was finally passed.
Maybe it was
2010.
2012 then.
Well, it's, you know, no, I mean, I'm just saying the law was passed, but we didn't have law in
Right.
Madison in 2010, 12.
Well,
Long
we're-
time.
it had to be in 2012. Because the next convention's 2014. So
Oh, 2
it would have
years.
been, yeah, it would have been 2012.
It's funny how long it seems when you're not having fun.
Oh,
You know
no.
what I mean?
And
I
the
mean,
seizures just
I
keep
would
coming.
imagine some days, and again, I'll just say it for the record, what you do for your son is just beyond belief. I can't say it without getting tears in my eyes. Can you imagine?
Thanks.
So I can understand how it would seem like 4 years ago if it was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
because I'm well aware how long.
It had to have been
A
2
day
years
can
ago
seem-
because Vivi's only 2. So
There
it
you
had to
go.
be 2 years ago. But yes, we met. She met Jason. I met Jason. We all had fun playing jokes and games with Jason. Jason actually caught up with my son's neurologist and cornered him and
Good.
had a conversation. It was a positive conversation, and I kind of went up to him later and said, so by the way, I was going to mention and talk to you about this. So the seed was planted with my son's neurologist, very for it, cautious, concerned, but definitely for it. But there was, again, one drug left to try, and that was the drug from Dr. Gervais that she had founded out in France called Steripental. And that's when we started Jack on the Steripental. And for the first 3 months, it was great. He did really well on it. But then it just isn't working. It stopped working after approximately 3
Tolerance
months.
development, or just stop working?
That's the nature of Dravet. Dravet just stops working. The drug may work for 3 months and then it doesn't work at all, or it may not work at all and then it starts working and it works for
So
3
with
months.
cannabis and what you've heard from parents of other Dravet children, have you heard from some who have had it long enough to know whether or not that's going to happen with cannabis?
Absolutely. At that point, there was a cannabis group on Facebook that I was part of. I was one of the first group, or part of that group that was in there. Jason was in there. Other families from around the United States were in this group, and they were sharing their experiences. Some of the kids were off all drugs completely and on just cannabis. Others were on some minimal pharmaceuticals and also cannabis.
What would be an example? I mean, so, in other words, a child that was then only using cannabis for more than 3 months, because
Yes.
the Dravet's, what was that medicine that worked for 3 months?
The Steripental. For
Okay.
some kids, it works for a long time. For
Yeah.
Jack, nothing works more
What
than 3
I guess
months.
what I'm wondering is, are you aware of any children whom cannabis stopped working for, like that medicine stopped working for Jack's?
I will tell you, I've heard of 2. I know one, and I've only heard but can't figure out who exactly it is, and they won't go on record saying. So, we'll say 1.5 parents
Yeah.
who've
out of-
actually said, out of thousands,
Yeah.
that say it doesn't work for their
There's
child.
going to be a treatment failure population with every drug, so it's not to be
But
unexpected. But that's a
here's-
very small
It's
number
very
you're talking
small.
about, yeah.
Very small. When you talk about 1,000 kids, and this is before the Charlotte's Web special came out on CNN. One kid out of 1,000 that we knew of in this group that were either being treated or outside of the group that we knew but weren't inside the group. That's small compared to the drug failures you have of 1%. That's less than 1%. So that's tremendous, and that's
It
all
really
forms of
is.
epilepsy. It's not just Dravet syndrome; it's all forms of epilepsy.
That's pretty amazing.
Right. A majority was Dravet syndrome. Do not get me wrong, but
Yeah.
there are other forms out there. There's other cannabis groups for epilepsy, like Lennox-Gastaut, infantile spasms. So again, you take all those groups together with the cannabis. There's a large population.
Well, by 4 months' time, then you'll know how Jax is doing if once he passes a 3-month mark.
Jack
I
has
would
already
imagine.
passed it.
Yeah, how long has he?
Jack is, as of November 7th of this year, Jack will have been on cannabis for an entire year.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a great journey.
Well,
It's
then here's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's worked for over a year for him then.
It's exactly.
Okay.
He has a success story since starting in November. We actually, during Hurricane Sandy, which happened today, we ended up in the hospital because no power, no electricity, no food source, no anything in the state of New Jersey.
Right.
The day we got out of the hospital, off of the video EEG. So there is a test to show what his brain waves were like the day before he started cannabis. And we started him on the medical marijuana, very small doses, because, you know, allergies, you know, fear the big weed.
Yeah,
It's a scary plant. So we started off slow.
You should start with small doses. It's just safer. Yeah.
I started off even slower because this is, you know, you hear your whole entire life how
You're
scary
a good
it is.
mom. You got to be cautious.
So, you know,
That's what you
it's
are.
this little itty bitty bit, half a gram of butter that probably was 4 milligrams of CBD. I mean, I'm sure the THC wasn't even traceable in that at that point. But I started him on it, and he just was better. And it was amazing. I mean, he just did so much better. So I slowly increased it. We went back to California, where his father lives. We got the 215 card. He is a patient. He is a resident of California. He has a right to this in California because of the custody agreement.
Yeah.
So Jack got his medication, and he started it there. And I came back here, and of course, realizing how bad our laws were, I had no access. And that's when I began talking to the legislators and doing stuff. But the ironically funny part is, Jack's going to school when we came back, and I was able to continue his treatment. And in doing that, the school kept calling me up and saying, "What's wrong with Jack?" And I kept saying, "Okay, so he's having a seizure." And they said, "No." I says, "Okay, then what's wrong with Jack?" And they're like, "He's different." "Okay, can you tell me what's different?" They're like, "What are you giving him? What's different?" Because they thought I had changed some of the pharmaceutical meds, and they wanted to know. Nope, nothing's changed.
Well,
I'm not
they would
giving-
already know what medications he's taking at
Correct.
school.
They already know.
yeah.
Even at
So
home,
they
they knew,
okay, well,
and
then-
they thought maybe I had
They're
changed
not
up.
being intrusive. They're trying to help.
They were trying to help, and they were because they were seeing improvements in Jack, so they were trying to pinpoint it because this is working, and they wanted to encourage me. And so I finally one day pulled the nurse aside and said, "Well, I can tell you what I'm doing with Jack, but I'd have to kill you because it's a secret." And she said, "I think I can handle it." And so I shared with her that Jack is a 215 card holder in California. We started the treatment. When we were there almost a month for Christmas, and it did such great things for Jack. I had to continue it. And that's what he was on. And she was just amazed. And she had already written down for me all the things that she had seen improvement on. Use of language, his attention span.
She wrote all that down.
Yes. She wrote a
Document
list
it.
down. She wrote a list down for me and said, "These are all the things that I see him doing. Attention span, putting sentences together, paying attention, listening." I mean, the list went on and on. I took him to the doctor's office, and we're in the neurologist's office, and he's just like, "Huh, what's wrong with Jack?" "Nothing. Nothing's wrong with Jack." But Jack's sitting still, and Jack was watching a video, and then he was interacting with the doctor. He actually had a productive exchange of ideas, and the doctor took that stupid little hammer thing and hit Jack on the knee.
Yeah.
And Jack looked at him, and he took the hammer from the doctor, and he pushed the doctor like this, and the doctor sat down, and Jack started hitting him on the leg. So there's connections that were being made. So I continued with the treatment, and I've slowly increased. And in doing so, Jack is now off of phenobarb as of February of last year.
Wow.
No more phenobarb. That's a huge one. We've been trying for 3 years to get him off phenobarbital. Over the summer, we've come off of some of the valproic acid. We've come off of the steripental. We started in this summer because the benzodiazepines, long-term use, side effect is psychosis, and he started being self-abusive and hurting himself. And of course, everybody went to the, "Oh, well, you know, Jack's just not doing well, it's the marijuana." And I kept saying, "No, Jack's doing really well, it's the other drugs." And so I've insisted on getting the benzodiazepines off, and he's now completely off Onfi. Since then, we've come down on the Klonopin by 40%, and the steripental is now gone as well, completely.
The
And he's off the diet.
the card that you have for California, what are you able to get in California that you can't get here as far as the CBD?
Medicine?
I mean, the CBD, even that now you can get it. There's a ratio of CBD to THC that you
Right.
would ideally have. What would that ratio be if
Well-
you could pick numbers and get whatever you wanted?
It's not just that, it's also the delivery method. The what I'm getting in California is a butter, and with that butter, it's testing out at a 24-to-1. So it's got 8 milligrams of CBD for every gram of butter, with 0.3 milligrams of THC in every gram of butter.
That would virtually allow a person to, in effect, not get high.
He doesn't get high. He's more high from the benzos and the barbiturates than he was
I
from
would
anything
imagine
else.
so. Yeah. So how do you feel about today's opening? you can't get enough because you were telling me before that it would take maybe 6 ounces to make oil per month, as opposed. Would that be right?
2 ounces will make approximately 10 days.
Yeah, so
It'll
that's
make
what-
oil, but I
right.
need a higher CBD and less THC.
Yeah.
Because right now the THC that's going to be in it, because it's a 1-to-1, is
Can be
going to
too
make him
much.
high.
Yeah.
It is too much. So I'm going to have to find a way to burn off the THC
Good.
and pull out the CBD. And I can only afford an ounce. I can only afford, 1 ounce at $400, and that's going to be approximately 5 days worth of medicine. If I give it to him like a true medicine at 5 milligrams per pound, like we've been directed and like evidence is showing that it's going to work, that's 5 days worth of medicine. So I'm going to have to find a way to stretch that and make it last for an entire month.
On the record, I want to say that it's people like you who are making things move in the right direction, not just because you're a mother, because you're able to get out and discuss this. You're not worried about video, you're worried about your son. Now, you have this is not going to help Jax what you're doing here as much as a lot of other patients. So I want to recognize that you're not doing everything for just your son, because I do recognize that.
Thank you.
And what would you like to see other patients do? There's a lot of other card holders, and I know maybe I've come across 15 out of 1,500. Would you think it would be nice if patients were a little more receptive to being open about their experience? I find it to be very hard. You have to have somebody who's either in such dire straits or incredibly committed like yourself to be able to sit down and talk about this, and I don't think it should be that hard for anybody to do. And without other patients doing it, you're just
We stand
you don't
alone.
have enough boots on the ground. There's not enough people with skin in the game right now.
We don't. The CNN special really, I think, took away a lot of the stigma and a
It
lot of the
did.
fear.
It did.
I am currently working with other families and getting them out there and going. And I have families that are willing to talk and share their story. I can probably tell you 7 to 10 families of individual children. I'd say 14. Youngest is probably 5. And then obviously you know about Vivi, so I'm not including her as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
But there's families, and that's my goal, is to empower these families, because this is medicine.
That's
If
what I'm
it
talking
is
about. You
safe
do
enough-
empower people just by doing what you're doing right now.
Right, but the thing is if it's safe enough for a child, why is it not safe enough for grandma or grandpa? Why is it not safe enough for you or a patient or a healthy person? It has a lot of protective powers as well.
Yes, it does.
And so I just keep talking and preaching everywhere. I'm working on different projects. There's a couple things I'm working on with my son's neurologist, and different events that I want to try and plan over the next couple months. And I want to get away from the stigma, because I think that that's one way to get that mainstream people out and get them to acknowledge it, whether it be a doctor or a parent, is they need to realize that this really is an herb. That's what it is. It's an herb. And I'm just going to get the word out and do everything I
Well,
possibly
this
can.
is why being on video is so important, because you can't simply approach people one by one and keep telling your story
have been.
over. Oh, well, you have been. Okay.
And I'm
But
not gonna stop.
You can do that, but you can't reach everybody that way. This is why I like that you're good with having a conversation, and that other people can see this, that you can't reach, but it's your one-on-one. It's really going to get other people to be able to say, maybe I should have this opportunity myself to tell people.
Absolutely.
And that I know when you talk to people, it's going to be very evident to them. You're there for them, not for you. You got it taken care of. You're doing the best you can with you. You're not asking for their help for you. You're offering your help to them. And I think once more patients understand that, what a beatific act of compassion that is, they'll help too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I get so emotional.
That's okay. No, it's important.
No, it's not about a guy. God damn it, I'm supposed to be
Okay,
immune to
fine.
this
You're
crap.
not crying.
No.
I cry all the
I
time.
got something in my eye.
It's probably that worm.
Yeah, it could be. He's still,
It's still coming after you.
Yeah, but it's that.
Jack.
Maybe it should
Jack
affect people that
is amazing. Jack wakes up every day with a smile, even though he has seizures all night long, and I've been able to make that stop. This should not be a secret for anybody.
No, it
Why should these kids not have a future? If I could have had this for Jack when he was Vivi's age, what are the possibilities?
And you're bringing this to kids who are Vivian's age. You're giving them possibilities. I don't know that it'll help, but when people would ask Cheryl, why are you doing this? Is it going to be legal in your lifetime? She'd say, no, it's not. But there's a lot of other Jim and Cheryls out there who have more time than me. And
that are undiagnosed.
you remind me so much of Cheryl.
Thank you. That means a lot.
You really do. Cut that. I don't want to cry no more.
Either that or just zoom in on me crying.
No, it's
No.
that important. I don't care. I mean,
I know. No,
I
Jack's,
joke about the manliness of crying or not crying, but it's that important. And through Cheryl, I've come to know how important it is to people, and I can recognize how important it is to you, and I can recognize your struggle, even though I've never had one like that, because I had enough people tell me, Jim, I don't know how you do what you do, and I don't know how you do what you do.
You just do.
But that you are doing this, and Jax is how old now?
He's 14.
He's 14. That you can help people one-on-one, so worth it. In video, more than that, you can help those that are Vivian's age, and you can help people that don't even know what Dravet means right now, because they may be able to hear what you're having to say and then find out they have that problem.
Absolutely. And
they'll
it's not
already
just
know.
Dravet. It's seizures. Seizures in general. It's not just Dravet.
Well, that's for
it's
Cheryl. It was her spasticity, which was along the same lines, and she did have seizures when she didn't have it also. So.
yes.
But, it's a step in the right direction. I'd like to see you be able to get 24-1 here. I'd like to be able to see you have the amount you need.
The quantity would be
And
really
the
nice.
quantity. And we will be working harder than ever now that things are moving to see that this law improves until one day it might actually be doing some good. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I'm not done yet. I know that I started off in March of this last year talking to my legislator, who was not receptive. He was receptive to Jack getting his med. He wanted it available everywhere. Of course, it's the low THC.
What's his name?
Senator Oroho. Ironically, he voted against it because what he saw Stender and Scutari present didn't match what he heard me say. But I did educate him, and I did share with him that weed is not just weed. It's not just THC. It's marijuana. It is an herb. It is a plant. It does help. And he was completely for it. And I changed my mind. And yes, he did vote against it. But at the same time, he didn't know what Scutari and Stender were asking for. And everybody's so afraid. And as I'm reading Smoke Signals, I'm realizing the history that's in there. I see what's going on. I see the reports. The LaGuardia report, the I'm forgetting all the names. Schaefer report, and then there's a couple others that it's just like, why has all these legislators continued to fear when the proof is right in front of them? It's insane to me. It really is.
They fear backlash more than they fear being right or wrong about anything, I think. But
Absolutely.
I think you are also creating a situation where they realize there's going to be a backlash if they don't help. So that's also something why, as you keep going, and it's not just for you, and it does involve kids, and when you tell a legislator that if you make a mistake with a 2-year-old and you don't recognize it till he's 5, you're culpable in him not having his medicine and stunting his intellectual growth and all that. So it ironically is going to be the children that overcome the what about the children stigma that's been going on for 30 years. So
It's safe enough for the kids.
Yeah.
It really is.
And with more parents like you and Megan and Brian and Tina and Big Joe and any that I've met, you guys are going to do what we couldn't for the last 20 years. So thank you so
I'm
much.
glad that you started the road and I'm able to join.
Yeah, well, you're the big gun now. I got to tell you, man, this is a very compelling story, and I haven't cried since 2004. Okay, I'm lying, but
I was going to say, I think I've seen you cry
that was
before.
a lie, but he can edit it out and make it look like it's the truth.
Okay.
You
can edit.
Yeah.
I'm not editing this. Shit.
So I think we're good. You think?
That was great.
Yeah.
That was really
Well,
good.
I
Thank you
would've
so
just loved
much.
to sit here and talk to you with or without the film being on, because you inspire
Yeah.
me. And I need
we're not
some.
done.
I need some inspiration right now. I've been off Facebook and offline for almost a month because I was off due to a computer glitch for 2 days, and I realized how much more relaxed I was not fighting every day. Not fighting with friends and the opponents and trying to organize. And I felt so great about stepping back. Quite frankly, I didn't care if I ever did anything like that again. And then I was talking to a friend of mine in New York, Rob Robinson, who really, he's very pivotal and doing lots of things, puts on quite a festival. And it's just all over the place on medical cannabis as well as others. And I told him that, and I said, I'm feeling like I want to be semi-retired. And he didn't hesitate to say, "You're full of shit. You're never going to retire. Who you think you're talking to?" And I realized that you make it easier for me to go get back on the computer and do what I need to do, and to help get interviews going and helping other people who are working on the filming project find other patients who are going to want to be part of this. And I think after seeing you and Rowan and anything Megan or Brian would have to say, and some of the others, that you're making our job a lot easier to find patients. What is that, 6, 7 things I got to thank you for today? I think we're up to 7.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What happens when we hit 10?
Then you owe me. I don't know.
Barney jumps out of a box.
we have a party. We've never actually had a good one because there's too much sad stuff going on all the time. But I'm feeling a little better about that. You have your jar.
I have my jar.
Yes, we know what that means. It means that you finally have all for New Jersey legal, Jersey strong, Jersey fresh.
Yes, Jersey fresh. Does this mean it's actually ocean grown? It's a little OG.
Actually, that means very little, but
That's kind of the point.
Yeah,
I'm not done. I'm gonna keep
no,
going.
I know that you're never gonna let this slide because you know what other parents are going through, and
But I'm also an RN. I also
Yes.
know what it's like for people like your wife. I know what it's like for my clients that have cancer.
yeah,
I know what it's like for my son to have seizures, and it's the most helpless feeling in the world.
that's the word, helpless. Until you're that kind of helpless as a parent or a spouse, or whether it was for a brother or sister, there's nothing worse than knowing you can help. It's there, and it's as simple as a weed that grows anywhere you want it to, and you could go to jail for it, for helping your son. I've never heard anything more wrong than that.
Yep, it's an herb.
Well, we're definitely going the right direction to a degree, and hopefully we have a foothold enough where the changes become easier, as you and the other parents were able to accomplish with the edibles for kids. And as a nurse, right away you're thinking, but it's not just good for kids. There's people with compromised pulmonary conditions that can't smoke.
It's just everything. It's not even pulmonary. What if you can't swallow?
Right, what if you don't want breakthrough pain at night and you get 2 hours relief smoking and 6 hours eating? You want to sleep for a night. You don't have to get up and smoke at 1:30 because the other.
But here's the other thing as well. Jack's 14. When's he going to be 18? So all of a sudden his epilepsy disappears and he's cured? That's not how it works.
It's not grandfathered into the 18.
No.
It's not grandfathered. Well, then we'll
we
will change that before he becomes 18.
That's the point. It
Oh,
has
we
to
will.
change because...
We will. That's right up on the list.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, that right there. Okay, for the children, great. So once they turn 18, Governor, you don't care about kids?
Yeah.
Because they're not kids anymore. They can vote. My son's never going to vote. He's going to be 18, and he's going to continue to have Dravet syndrome. It's in his DNA. It's genetic.
Yeah.
So it's not going to go away. So the fact that, someone who has seizures or a disabled child who all of a sudden magically turns 18, no services, no medication, no longer can you get your edibles or you can get the quantity you need. You're back limited to that 2 ounces per month. Well, if it didn't work when you were 14, who's to say 2 ounces is going to work when you're 18? Because you're going to be bigger, you're going to have a different body system, you're going to need different medication.
And I
Different
think
levels.
2 ounces was an estimate myself. I don't think that had any medical background with anything to do with cannabis. It's 2 ounces. Everybody else allows 4. We'll allow 2. They're more tightly controlled.
It's arbitrary.
It is very arbitrary.
It's very arbitrary. And the other thing is the other states where they give you that 4 ounce limitation, that's in possession at any one time. That's not per month.
Right. That's at any one time.
That's a possession at a time. That's
And
not
in
a permanent
most states, you're
limitation.
allowed to grow that 4 ounces too. In most.
So it's just ridiculous. It's arbitrary. It has no basis on anybody's need whatsoever, because one person's pain may require 4 ounces a day. For example, Shaz Moore from the CNN special, I've met with him and his father, and when I told him about our 2 ounce limitation, they just about fell on the ground laughing. He's like, I could do that in a day, because that's how many spastic situations he can have. On a good day, he may not need that much, but on a really bad day, he may need 2 ounces. So he's going to go through his whole entire allotment in one setting.
There's a lot that needs to be done, and after talking with you, I'm more sure than ever one of the first things should be edibles for anybody who would require it.
And lifting of the 2 ounce limitation.
And to re-examine that, and maybe we should be telling them we need to see your documentation on what it is you used to come up with that. And since we both know it's going to be a long road, what do you say we get started sooner rather than later?
I'm already starting.
I know
Right?
that.
I never stopped.
I'm yanking your chain.
I took a break, but I didn't stop.
No.
My
Well,
brain's always thinking.
You can't stop. It's you can't, because I know absolutely that no matter how it works back, when you look back, the one thing you're not going to be able to do is say, I wish I'd done more. You have yourself the same insurance policy I gave myself. And Cheryl's been gone 10 years, and let me tell you, it works. It works. I have the insurance policy that I don't look back and say, what was I afraid of? Why didn't I do more? Because I was so afraid of that happening. I did everything I could
That's why
think
I
of doing.
moved to New Jersey.
It's been really nice watching the second day of Compassionate Care Foundation be open. So few people coming through. A lot not going perfectly right as it is, but it's interesting having patient views. Now, you being having MS, easily qualified.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. I heard Chuck one time say he has neck problems. That's his greatest pain, not from MS, from leaning over a computer too long. And that's marijuana's greatest benefit to him, is for his neck pain. But he wouldn't qualify. And I actually heard him say, without thinking, he goes, oh, I'm lucky I got MS. And those words I've never heard in that order in my life, all the years Cheryl having MS. I never heard anybody say I'm lucky. And I thought, how sad yet fortunate. It's odd. It's like bittersweet. It's two things that shouldn't go together. And we'll get back to some other things, but right off, I was very impressed when I heard you speak at the State House talking about a benefit that cannabis has for you beyond the fact you have MS.
Yes.
You remember what you were telling us that day?
Yes, I do. Because of being prescribed prescription medications from the time I was 17 when I was diagnosed, and my insurance being cut off, I couldn't afford prescription pain medications anymore, which led me to 15 years of heroin abuse, and now marijuana actually helps with my opiate dependence as well, because I do not use opiate-based medications.
Normally, it wouldn't be pertinent to the conversations we've been having, but it's absolutely pertinent to say, when you say you were addicted to heroin for how many years?
15.
That's a long time to come out the other end. Usually it's 15 years and you're reading about it in the paper, and it goes on their tombstone if you're lucky. So you did come out the other end. Was it a treatment program originally that...
Suboxone treatment,
Yeah.
for the maintenance for the most part, and to work on getting
How many
my-
treatments did you have before that, though? I mean, 15 years, people go through a lot of treatment sometimes.
I can't even count on my hand.
Treatment,
between-
recidivism.
Yeah.
Back and forth,
Back and forth. Lots of back and forth. I mean, nothing to where, up until I was able to approach family members, approach my children's mother, that cannabis is what helps me from running back and forth and having an open communicative relationship about cannabis therapy.
How long have you been clear of heroin now?
2 years.
2 years.
Going on 2.5 right now.
And from what you were telling me before, cannabis is very integral in your therapy for not
Huge.
Uh,
Huge.
relapsing again. You probably say it different every time you talk about it, but I would encourage you to, when you do talk to, I mean, not just now, because you'll be
Right.
saying this over and over again. When you stood on the steps at the State House and told everybody about that, you said, and you all better hope I keep using cannabis, because if I don't, I'm going to be in all your pockets by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That was so well put. That's cannabis preventing crime,
Yes.
not causing it.
Not causing it by any means.
Yeah, and people don't look at it like that.
Not at all.
And it's kind of sad that you have to have MS to be able to get this legally to keep on with your program.
I shouldn't have to have MS to be able
yeah,
to
and-
benefit from this plant.
Well, I commend you on that, and there is interest by some people in cannabis being used to wean people from heroin, get them off heroin, methadone, all sorts of other opiates. And with the DEA saying that prescription drug abuse is their number one priority concern now, there are people wondering if cannabis can help with that. And you're not prescription abuse, but the prescription abuse is very relative to the heroin abuse. It's very, very much similar.
Very.
So, what's that mean to your MS? MS comes in so many forms and levels, and I can see you're getting around okay, but is MS what does it do to you now that I don't see?
Yeah, mainly to me, lots of depression bouts, lots of feelings of inadequacy, because I can't do as much as I used to be able to do.
Yeah. Is it like because of your energy level?
Energy
of the MS?
level,
That's
fatigue.
a lot of
Fatigue,
it.
yes, fatigue is ton of it.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm quite
Yes,
familiar with MS
very.
because of Cheryl.
Yes.
But it is different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
When you have cannabis on a regular basis, there are times you run out, I would assume.
Of
I mean,
course.
I'm only
Of
assuming
course.
that.
Of course. No safe access, I'm going to run out.
No, you're going to run out. Is it more of a difference for what it does for your depression relative to MS or the MS itself? Because with Cheryl, when I took her to her neurologist, and he already knew in 1993 that marijuana, we said, was good for her, and we came in one time after giving her some of her green butter and didn't tell him, and he recognized it right away, and he says, is she using marijuana today? And Cheryl just smiled, nodded her head, and I asked him, how'd you notice? I mean, what was it? Because you're her neurologist, you would know. And he goes, no, actually it was absolutely that she was looser, but what I'm happiest about is she's looking right at me now while I'm talking. She's answered questions that she normally would be reluctant to answer, and I believe you started a conversation a little while back, Cheryl. She'd never done these things. He recognized as a neurologist how important that was to her health with MS. So I'm hearing sort of the same thing from you, that it's all intertwined. It's not just the MS, sadly. It's what allows you to have this. And I'm guessing if there was a way that we could start approaching legislators and trying to get them to recognize this additional benefit, that you'd be willing to work with the coalition when we get around to saying this should be another tool in the toolkit that people have when they are trying to deal with drug addiction. They should be able to use this for people who it might work for.
Very much.
And that it can be a lot cheaper than it costs here. So you got a card.
I do have a card.
You got an appointment?
No appointment.
No appointment
No,
yet?
no appointment.
Yeah, when you
I
gonna
tried.
do that?
I tried calling yesterday. I got a machine that said that to be patient and be mindful that the log goes back until August of 2012. That patients are being seen in the order of which they got their cards, but
Yeah. So they haven't called you back.
no, I haven't received the call back.
You call often, or just?
I'm gonna call again tomorrow since
Yeah,
I was
going
here
to
today.
suggest that was my veiled suggestion.
Yes.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. I'm glad that you have a legal access here, and that you too can then have your jar that will exempt you from being arrested and prosecuted for trying to take care of yourself and the people around you.
Exactly. People around.
Yeah. You know, how does this affect your family, by the way?
Um,
I mean, it's different with everybody.
Different with everybody. You're right. It affects my family. I mean, I'm 32. I live at home with my mom and dad. So
Yeah.
my mom and dad, because of the prescription medication which led to heroin,
Yeah.
they lost a lot of their lives because of having to babysit me, babysit my children. Now, when I have my medicine, marijuana, cannabis, I can be a father. I can be a son. I be productive. I'm a productive member of society, and I'm not a scumbag of society.
And they obviously
and
they
they
recognize
they-
that because they know you better than anybody.
Right, they recognize it. I help with the youth association in town. I'm friendly with the police in my town. Like
They gotta love that you're not a heroin addict.
the police love
The
it.
police
I'm
in
not
your
a heroin
town.
addict anymore. They love it. They love it because they're not getting calls about
Yeah.
a man pushing his son around in a stroller nodding.
Yeah.
They love not getting those
Yeah.
calls. I mean, I'm not causing havoc.
Who would have thunk marijuana can make a person a better father?
You know.
I've heard it a lot of times, and I'm obviously being facetious with who would have thunk. But it's really good hearing you say this. It makes me feel like we're on the right path. We got a long road, but we can get it done, and it works best because you are a patient, a card-holding patient, and you're also a constituent to legislators, so that when people who are card-holding patients approach their legislators to work on a law that desperately needs help, that people are dying because it doesn't work, that you really can up the ante by being that go-between between legislators who are afraid and uneducated. It's the patients, it's not people like me. And it's not the coalition, because we're a nonprofit organization, who really move this. It's patients and their families who are moving it. I don't know how to ask this tactfully. I tried to ask myself, how do you feel about the fact that there are so many patients that know this and are receiving the benefits illegally, and many now legally? And there are so few doing what you're doing right now, willing to speak out, willing to take part in making it a better law. I get the impression, as I do with others I've spoken to, that you're not doing this just for yourself. You know, you could have sat back and done this. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so public?
Why? Because people need to come out of the cannabis closet. It's a plant that helps people. It's truly medicinal, and this is coming from a person who was just an average stoner.
What caused you to come out of the closet? Or were you ever in the
It was
closet?
never really as much. Not as much as that I was in the closet, but I didn't want it to be known. But
Yeah,
now,
well, because you don't want that target on
Right.
there. People think that they're going to be singled out if they speak up. And, it's living in the country we live in, things like that do happen. It's not unfounded, but for you to help people understand just by doing what you're doing, being public about this and attending events and telling your story when you can, I would say one of your greatest gifts is to patients in that respect. Not so much educating legislators is your natural educational value to patients, to say, look, this guy's up there talking about being addicted to heroin. He's got kids, he's got family, he's talking about it, and he's talking about how cannabis helps him with that and how it helps him with his MS, and that it's, again, as with everybody else, it's truly not the people doing the most. The patients aren't doing it for themselves. They're doing it because they understand what other patients are going to. I would like to hope that
you were right sooner rather than later that coming out of the closet, so to speak, you and others we've been talking to will encourage others to do the same. It's about patients taking care of themselves, and we can't help those that don't help themselves. How is it going to be? How much cannabis are you going to be able to afford at $400 an ounce? How often? And what would you expect you might be able to spend without screwing up the rest of your financial life? How much money would you particularly be able to spend a month on marijuana, on medicine?
I bring home $110 a week with 2 children, so
You can't afford any
I'll
of
be
it.
coming for a quarter.
Yeah.
I'll be coming for a quarter unless they sell me an eighth.
Wait, what did you just do? You just put your weed away?
I just put it from this container into a little baggie that's now on my ass.
Where did you,
area.
in your taint?
In my taint. It's in my underwears, but down the ball sack area, if you go all the way to the bottom, sometimes you'll find a little lint ball down there too. But that part is considered your taint, between your asshole and your balls, so that the little baggie's all tight and like right on my asshole as far as smell goes. I can let some more gas out if I have to cover it with some regular odor. If I think I'm getting searched, obviously I'm going to be scared shit. I might even let one ride.
Better than coffee grinds.
Better than coffee grinds. Natural elements, man. Animals don't understand nature like that. You give them some real shit, they're scared. They know.
So the
So
bag
now-
is in there, locked in there in your asshole?
It's locked in my asshole. I'm going to go in the woods to take a leak because there's nowhere else to pee in New Jersey. And I'm going to toss this thing in a creek. And some rabbit's going to eat it someday and have 1% CBD.
I just don't know if I want to smoke that weed after it's been up your ass.
No, but I got this process where after it's been done like that, I'll freeze it solid so that anything living is now frozen solid. And then I'll smoke it frozen.
It's going to be called rat hole weed.
It's better than no weed.
It's been in your rat hole.
It's better than no weed. But you know what? It's really some good shit, man. It's some good shit.
Literally good shit.
Literally some good shit, man. So I'm gonna get out like I'm having a cigarette.
Ain't bad.
Like a time bomb, boom, gonna explode. Step out the street, gonna lock and load. They say time away, gonna